Life is a journey, often filled with unexpected twists and turns. Along the way, we encounter lessons that shape us, yet many of these lessons come too late to make a real impact. Today, we're diving into Stoic lessons that people often learn too late in life. These insights can transform the way you approach challenges, relationships, and personal growth. Let's uncover the wisdom that can lead you to a more meaningful and balanced life. Number 1. The importance of self-control. Self-control isn't just about resisting that second slice of cake or not snapping back at someone who cut you off in traffic. It's a way of living that can transform every aspect of your life. Sounds big, right? That's because it is. Think of self-control as your inner superpower. It's what gives you the strength to choose your response to whatever life throws your way. Imagine you're a ship, and life is the sea, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. Self-control is your anchor. Without it, you're just drifting, tossed around by every wave and wind. But with it, you have stability. You have direction. In our fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded with distractions. Social media, 24/7 news cycles, endless entertainment options, it's a lot. It's easy to get caught up, to react impulsively, to make choices that aren't really aligned with who we want to be. That's where self-control comes in. It's like having a pause button. Before you act, you take a moment to think, is this really what I want? Is this action going to help me or hurt me? Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. He was a Roman emperor, sure, but he also dealt with some serious stuff: wars, political intrigue, personal loss. And yet, he's known for his calm demeanor and thoughtful decisions. How did he manage that? Through self-control. He practiced it daily, reminding himself to stay grounded, to focus on what he could control and let go of what he couldn't. Now, let's bring this to a more personal level. Maybe you've got a job that stresses you out, or relationships that feel like they're on a roller coaster. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. But what if, instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you took a step back? What if you paused, took a deep breath, and decided to respond with calm and clarity? It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Self-control helps you build better habits, too. Want to get in shape? It's not just about hitting the gym once. It's about consistently making choices that support your health, eating well, getting enough sleep, staying active. And yes, sometimes that means saying no to things that don't serve your goals. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And here's another thing: self-control isn't about depriving yourself. It's about empowerment. When you practice self-control, you're taking charge of your life. You're deciding what kind of person you want to be and taking steps to become that person. It's incredibly liberating. Think of it like this: life will always have ups and downs. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And that response can change everything. When you practice self-control, you're not just reacting to life, you're actively shaping it. In the end, self-control is about freedom. It's about freeing yourself from the tyranny of impulses and external pressures. It's about living a life that's true to your values and goals. It's about being the captain of your own ship, no matter what the seas look like. So, next time you're faced with a choice, big or small, remember your inner superpower. Take a moment. Breathe. Choose your response. Because with self-control, you're not just surviving life, you're mastering it. Number 2, the value of time. You know that feeling when you look back at your week and wonder where all the time went? We've all been there. Time just seems to slip through our fingers, and before we know it, another day, week, or even year is gone. This is exactly why the Stoics placed such a high value on time. Imagine time as the most precious currency you have. Unlike money, once time is spent, you can't earn it back. it's gone forever. This is something Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, harped on about constantly. He would say, "We are tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers." Think about your daily routine for a moment. How much of your time is truly yours? Work, chores, social obligations, they all eat into your day. Then there are the distractions. Oh, the distractions. Social media, endless scrolling, binge-watching shows, these can suck hours out of our day without us even noticing. The Stoics would argue that being aware of where our time goes is the first step towards valuing it more. Let's get real, valuing time means prioritizing what truly matters. It's about cutting out the noise and focusing on what brings real meaning to your life. This doesn't mean you have to be productive every single minute. No, it's more about being intentional with how you spend your time. Imagine if you treated every moment as a gift. Would you still spend hours in front of the TV, or would you perhaps call a friend, read a book, or take a walk in nature? One of the biggest lessons here is that time is finite. It sounds morbid, but the Stoics believed in regularly contemplating mortality. This isn't meant to be depressing, it's meant to be motivating. When you remind yourself that your time is limited, it helps you focus on what's truly important. It's like a gentle nudge to live life fully and without regret. Let's not forget about procrastination. We've all been guilty of putting things off, thinking we have all the time in the world. But do we? The Stoics would tell you that the future is uncertain. The only time you truly have is now. So, if there's something you've been meaning to do, whether it's starting a new hobby, mending a relationship, or even just taking some time for yourself, don't wait. Do it now. The present moment is all you can be sure of. Now, here's another twist. Valuing time also means knowing when to rest. The Stoics weren't about hustling 24/7. They believed in balance. Rest and relaxation are crucial. It's about knowing that your time for work is just as important as your time for rest. It's all about balance, right? After all, burning out isn't going to help anyone. Let's bring it home with a personal touch. Picture this, you're sitting in your favorite spot at home, maybe with a cup of tea or coffee. You have a few hours ahead of you. How will you spend them? Will you drift through them mindlessly, or will you do something that feeds your soul? The choice is yours, and that's the beauty of it. In the end, the value of time is about making conscious choices. It's about being present, prioritizing what matters, and embracing the fact that time is the most precious resource we have. So, cherish it, use it wisely, and remember that every moment counts. Number 3, the power of perception. Alright, picture this, two people stuck in traffic. One is fuming, honking the horn, and muttering under their breath. The other is calm, maybe even humming along to a song on the radio. Same traffic jam, totally different experiences. Why? Perception. It's all about how we choose to see the situation. The Stoics were big on this. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that it's not things themselves that upset us, but our judgments about those things. Think about it. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we perceive and react to those events. This idea is like a superpower if you think about it. Imagine you've just had a rough day at work. Your boss was unreasonable, your workload was overwhelming, and nothing seemed to go right. You could go home, replay every annoying moment in your head, and let the stress consume you. Or, you could take a deep breath, acknowledge that today was tough, and then decide to let it go, maybe even find a silver lining. Perhaps you learned something new or realized what doesn't work and can adjust for the future. It's all in how you frame it. Let's talk about Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher. He had a tough life, born a slave, lived with physical disabilities, but he's known for his profound wisdom on resilience and perception. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's incredibly relevant today. Take social media, for example. It's easy to scroll through and feel like everyone else's life is perfect compared to yours. But what if you changed your perception? Instead of feeling envious, what if you saw it as a highlight reel, not the full picture? Everyone has their struggles, even if they don't show them. By adjusting your perception, you can protect your mental well-being and stay grounded in reality. Here's another angle: challenges and setbacks. We often perceive them as negative, but what if we viewed them as opportunities? Remember that time you failed at something? Maybe it was a job interview, a project, or a relationship. It stung, right? But looking back, didn't you learn something valuable? Didn't it push you to grow, to try a different approach? That's the power of perception at work. Imagine you're hiking up a mountain. The path is steep and rocky, and you're tired. You could focus on how tough the climb is, or you could look around, take in the beauty, and appreciate each step that brings you closer to the summit. Same hike, different experience, all based on perception. One more thing: perception isn't about ignoring reality or being overly optimistic. It's about seeing things clearly and choosing the most empowering interpretation. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that help you see situations more clearly and calmly, not through rose-colored lenses, but with a balanced, realistic view. So next time you're faced with a challenge, remember the power of perception. Ask yourself, how can I view this in a way that serves me? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? By mastering your perception, you're not just surviving life, you're thriving, finding meaning, and staying resilient no matter what comes your way. And there you have it, a little Stoic wisdom to carry with you. Life's all about how you see it, so choose your lens wisely. Number 4, accepting the things we cannot change. You know that feeling when you're stuck in a situation and you just can't see a way out? Maybe it's a job that's driving you nuts, a relationship that's going through a rough patch. These moments can be incredibly frustrating, right? But here's the thing: the Stoics teach us that peace of mind comes from accepting what we can't change. Picture this: you're caught in a rainstorm without an umbrella. Now, you can curse the skies and get soaked in misery, or you can dance in the rain. It's all about how you respond. The rain isn't going to stop just because you're upset about it. This is the essence of accepting things you can't change. It's about letting go of resistance and finding a way to be okay with what is. Life is full of these moments where we face the uncontrollable. The key isn't our response. Seneca had a great way of putting it: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This isn't just about being passive. It's about being proactive in the way you choose to perceive and react to life's curveballs. Think about relationships. We've all had times when someone's behavior drives us up the wall. Maybe it's a friend who's always late or a family member who loves to give unsolicited advice. You can't change their behavior, but you can change your response. Accepting them as they are doesn't mean you condone or love everything they do. It just means you recognize that you can't control them, and you focus on what you can control, your own actions and feelings. Now, let's get real about bigger stuff. Health issues, loss, major life changes, these are tough. Accepting them doesn't mean you're giving up. It means acknowledging reality and choosing how you'll move forward. It's about finding the strength to say, "This is my situation. How can I make the best of it?" It's not easy, but it's empowering. It shifts the focus from what's wrong to what you can do about it. The Serenity Prayer sums this up beautifully: grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. It's about discernment and peace. When you stop fighting the unchangeable, you free up energy to tackle what's within your control. So, how do you put this into practice? Start small. Next time you're in an annoying situation, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can change? If not, how can I adjust my mindset? It's a habit that builds over time, and before you know it, you'll find yourself more at peace, even when life doesn't go your way. Accepting the things we cannot change is like learning to go with the flow. It's about realizing that while you can't control the waves, you can learn to surf. And in doing so, you'll find a sense of calm and strength you never knew you had. So, take a deep breath, let go of what you can't change, and focus on what you can. You've got this. Number 5, the benefits of mindfulness. Imagine this, you're walking through a busy street, people rushing past, cars honking, all the chaos of the city. It's easy to get swept up, to feel stressed and overwhelmed. But what if, instead, you took a moment to just breathe and really notice what's around you? The colors of the buildings, the sound of footsteps, the smell of street food. That's mindfulness. It's about being present, fully engaged in the here and now. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to live in the present, to not get lost in the past or future. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Sounds simple, but it's powerful. When you're mindful, you're not distracted by what-ifs or could-have-beens. You're right here, right now, and that's where life happens. Now, let's talk benefits. First off, mindfulness is like a stress buster. When you're fully present, you're not worrying about that meeting tomorrow or regretting that thing you said last week. You're just here, experiencing life as it is. It's calming, like taking a mental vacation from the chaos. But it's not just about reducing stress. Mindfulness can also boost your focus. Ever tried working on a project and kept getting distracted by your phone, emails, or random thoughts? Happens to the best of us. But when you practice mindfulness, you train your brain to stay on task. You become more aware of those distractions and can gently steer your attention back to what you're doing. And here's a cool perk, mindfulness can improve your relationships. Think about it. When you're truly present with someone, really listening to them, they feel valued and understood. It deepens your connection. Plus, you're less likely to react impulsively or say something you'll regret. You respond with more thoughtfulness and empathy. Let's not forget about emotional resilience. Life throws curveballs, unexpected challenges, disappointments, losses. Mindfulness helps you stay grounded. You acknowledge your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. It's like being the calm in the storm. You're aware of the storm, but you don't let it sweep you away. So how do you get started with mindfulness? You don't need to sit on a cushion for hours. Start small. Take a few minutes each day to just sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Or try being fully present in everyday activities, eating, walking, even washing dishes. Pay attention to the sensations, the smells, the sounds. It's all about bringing your mind back to the moment, over and over again. In a nutshell, mindfulness is about living your life with full awareness and presence. It's about savoring the little moments and finding calm amidst the chaos. The Stoics knew its power, and now you do too. So, take a breath, be here now, and see how mindfulness can transform your life. Number 6, understanding impermanence. Think about it, everything in life is constantly changing, right? The seasons change, people come and go, and even our moods can shift from one moment to the next. Yet, so many of us resist this natural flow, clinging to things and people as if they'll be around forever. It's a tough pill to swallow, but acknowledging that nothing lasts forever can actually be pretty liberating. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're holding a beautiful sandcastle. You've spent hours crafting it, sculpting each turret and moat with precision. But here's the catch, you're building it right next to the ocean. You know the tide will come in eventually, washing it away. You can either spend your time dreading the inevitable, or you can enjoy the process, appreciate the moment, and let go when the waves finally roll in. Life's a lot like that sandcastle. Now, let's get personal. How many times have you found yourself stuck in a rut because you couldn't let go of something? Maybe it was a relationship that had run its course, a job that no longer fulfilled you, or even an old grudge. Holding on can weigh you down, making it harder to move forward and embrace new opportunities. When you understand and accept impermanence, you start to see life as a series of moments to be lived fully, rather than a collection of things to be hoarded. A friend of mine went through a tough breakup a few years back. At first, he was devastated, thinking he'd never find happiness again. But as time passed, he began to see that the relationship, while meaningful, was just one chapter in his life. By embracing its end, he made space for new experiences, new people, and ultimately, a deeper understanding of himself. It's not easy, but it's a game changer. Stoicism teaches us that clinging to the past or fearing the future robs us of the present moment. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the transient nature of life. He reminded himself that everything is fleeting, our troubles, our joys, even our very existence. This isn't meant to be depressing. Instead, it's a call to live fully and authentically, appreciating each moment for what it is. So, how do you put this into practice? Start by recognizing when you're holding on too tightly. Are you trying to freeze a perfect moment in time, or are you resisting change because it's uncomfortable? When you catch yourself doing this, take a deep breath and remind yourself that it's okay to let go. It's okay for things to change. Try this: the next time you're enjoying a beautiful sunset, a fun night out with friends, or even a peaceful moment alone, take a mental snapshot. Appreciate it fully, knowing that it's temporary. This doesn't mean you won't feel sad when it's over, but that's part of being human. Allow yourself to feel it and then let it pass. Understanding impermanence also means being kinder to yourself. Sometimes we beat ourselves up over past mistakes or worry incessantly about the future. But if nothing lasts forever, then neither do our failures or fears. They're just passing clouds in the sky of our minds. In the end, embracing impermanence is about living a richer, more meaningful life. It's about savoring the good times and learning from the bad, all while knowing that both will eventually pass. It's about being present, being mindful, and being open to the endless flow of change that life brings. So, let go, live fully, and remember, this too shall pass. Number 7, practicing gratitude. Gratitude is about more than saying thanks when someone holds the door for you. It's about actively recognizing and appreciating the good in your life, no matter how small. The Stoics were big on this. They believed that by focusing on what you have rather than what you lack, you can cultivate a deeper sense of contentment. Think about it: how often do we get caught up in chasing the next big thing? A promotion, a new gadget, the perfect relationship? And how often does achieving those things actually bring lasting happiness? Not often, right? A buddy of mine once shared a tip that stuck with me: the daily gratitude journal. Every night before bed, he jots down 3 things he's grateful for. They don't have to be monumental. It could be a good cup of coffee, a nice chat with a friend, or even just a moment of peace in an otherwise hectic day. This simple practice shifts your focus and rewires your brain to notice the positives more often. But let's be real, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. There are days when finding something to be grateful for feels impossible. Maybe you're dealing with a tough situation at work, a rocky relationship, or personal struggles. Here's where Stoicism really comes in handy. The Stoics taught that even in difficult times, we can find something to be grateful for. Maybe it's a lesson learned, inner strength discovered, or the support of someone who cares. Let's not forget the power of gratitude in relationships. We often take the people closest to us for granted. By actively expressing appreciation, a kind word, a thank you, or a thoughtful gesture, we not only make them feel valued but also strengthen our connections. Next time you're with a loved one, try this: look them in the eye and tell them one thing you're grateful for about them. Watch how their face lights up. It's magic. And here's another twist: being grateful for challenges. Yep, you heard me right. The Stoics believed that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. That tough project at work? It's a chance to sharpen your skills. That argument with a friend? An opportunity to understand them better and deepen your bond. It's all about flipping the script and seeing the hidden benefits in every situation. So, how do you start practicing gratitude? Begin with small steps. Maybe it's that gratitude journal I mentioned earlier. Or perhaps it's taking a few minutes each day to reflect on what's going right in your life. Whatever method you choose, stick with it. Over time, you'll notice a shift. You'll start to see the world through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. In the end, practicing gratitude isn't about ignoring life's hardships. It's about recognizing and celebrating the good amidst the chaos. It's about training your mind to focus on the positives, which in turn can boost your overall well-being and happiness. So, start today. Look around, take stock of your blessings, and let gratitude fill your heart. It's never too late to learn this life-changing lesson. Number 8. The strength and resilience. You know, one thing I've learned the hard way is just how powerful resilience really is. It's something people often don't fully appreciate until they've faced a few storms in life. I mean, it's easy to think resilience is just about toughing it out, right? But it's so much deeper than that. Picture this: you're cruising along, life's good, then bam. Something hits you out of nowhere. Maybe it's a job loss, a breakup, or some other curveball. Suddenly, everything feels like it's falling apart. It's in these moments that resilience kicks in. It's not just about standing tall in the face of adversity, it's about bending without breaking, like a tree in the wind. It's that ability to adapt, to find a way through, even when the path isn't clear. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Resilience isn't just a trait you're born with or without. It's like a muscle you can build over time. Every challenge, every setback, is like a workout for your resilience muscle. And just like in the gym, the more you work it, the stronger it gets. Think about it: the first time you face a major life challenge, it's like trying to lift a heavy weight for the first time. It feels impossible. But with each challenge, each lift, you get a bit stronger, a bit more capable. But here's the kicker: resilience isn't about going it alone. It's about knowing when to lean on others, when to seek support, and when to give yourself a break. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is ask for help. There's a kind of quiet strength in admitting you can't do it all on your own. We often think of resilience as solitary, but really, it's about community, connection, and support. Imagine you're walking through a forest. Suddenly, you hit a swamp. Now, you could freak out, try to run through it, and end up sinking deeper. Or, you could pause, assess your surroundings, and find a way around it, even if it means taking a longer path. That's resilience, not rushing headlong into the mess, but finding a smarter, more sustainable way forward. And let's not forget the emotional side of things. Resilience isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about understanding and managing them. It's okay to feel scared, sad, or angry. What matters is how you deal with those feelings. Do you let them overwhelm you, or do you use them as fuel to keep moving? In the end, resilience is about growth. Each challenge you overcome adds to your strength. It's about transforming pain into wisdom, setbacks into comebacks. And that's something you carry with you, a quiet confidence that no matter what life throws your way, you can handle it. So, embrace your inner stoic, flex that resilience muscle, And remember, every challenge is just another opportunity to grow stronger. Number 9. The necessity of self-reflection. You know, if there's one thing that often hits us like a ton of bricks later in life, it's the importance of self-reflection. Seriously, how many times have you looked back and thought, wow, if only I'd taken a moment to really think that through? It's wild how much clearer things become in hindsight. Let's break it down. Life moves fast, like super fast. We're always hustling, work, family, social commitments. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind and just go with the flow. But here's the thing, without pausing to reflect, we can end up running in circles. Self-reflection is like hitting the pause button. It's that moment where you step back and take a good, hard look at where you are, where you've been, and where you're heading. Think about it like this. Imagine you're on a road trip without a map. You're driving, enjoying the scenery, but eventually, you realize you're lost. Self-reflection is your GPS. It helps you figure out if you're on the right path or if you need to make a turn somewhere. But here's the kicker, self-reflection isn't just about pondering your life's direction. It's about understanding your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. It's about asking yourself, why did I react that way, or what could I have done differently? It's these questions that lead to growth. Take Marcus Aurelius. This guy ruled an empire, dealt with wars, plagues, and personal losses. Yet, he made time to jot down his thoughts and reflections. Those notes became his famous meditations. He believed that regularly examining his actions and thoughts helped him stay grounded and focused. If a guy running an entire empire could find time for self-reflection, surely we can squeeze it into our busy lives, right? Now, let's get real for a second. Self-reflection isn't always comfortable. It can be downright tough to face your flaws, mistakes, and regrets. But that's where the magic happens. It's like cleaning out a cluttered closet. It's messy and maybe a little overwhelming at first, but once you've sorted through everything, you feel lighter, more organized, and ready to take on the world. And don't think self-reflection is some grand, time-consuming ordeal. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of the day to think about what went well, what didn't, and what you learned. Journaling is a fantastic way to do this. Just jot down your thoughts, no filter. It's amazing how much clarity you can gain from writing things out. But here's a fun twist, self-reflection isn't just a solo activity. Talking things out with a friend, a partner, or a mentor can provide new perspectives and insights. Sometimes, just saying things out loud helps you see things differently. In the end, self-reflection is about being honest with yourself. It's about recognizing your strengths and acknowledging your weaknesses. It's about continuous improvement, not perfection. And the best part? The more you practice it, the better you get at it. So, next time you're feeling stuck or unsure, take a step back. Reflect. Ask yourself the tough questions. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. After all, the better you know yourself, the better equipped you are to navigate this crazy journey called life. Embrace the power of self-reflection and watch your life transform. Number 10. The significance of purpose. Next, let's talk about something super important that often gets overlooked until later in life, purpose. Yeah, that big, sometimes elusive thing that gives our lives direction. It's wild how many people float through life without really nailing down what their purpose is. But let me tell you, once you find it, everything changes. Imagine you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Without a compass or a destination, you're just drifting, going wherever the waves take you. That's kind of what life feels like without a purpose. You're just moving along, day by day, without a clear sense of direction. But when you've got that purpose, it's like setting your sails and aiming for a specific shore. Suddenly, there's meaning behind every action, every decision. So, how do you find your purpose? It's not like it just drops in your lap one day. It takes some soul searching. Think about what excites you, what you're passionate about, what gets you out of bed in the morning. For some, it's their career. For others, it's family, art, helping others, or even personal growth. It doesn't have to be something grand or world-changing. Your purpose is personal. It's what makes you feel alive. Marcus Aurelius had a pretty solid grasp on this. He believed that living according to your nature and fulfilling your potential was the key to a good life. He saw his role as emperor as his purpose, a duty he had to fulfill to the best of his ability. And he found peace and fulfillment in that. It's a great example of how purpose can anchor you, even in the toughest times. Here's the thing about purpose: it gives you resilience. When you know what you're working towards, setbacks don't feel like the end of the world. They're just bumps on the road. You've got that bigger picture in mind, and it helps you stay focused and motivated. Purpose fuels perseverance. It's like having an internal GPS that keeps you on track, no matter how rough the journey gets. But let's get real for a second. Finding your purpose isn't always easy. It can be messy and confusing. You might try different paths, and that's totally okay. Sometimes, it's through trying and failing that you discover what truly matters to you. Don't be afraid to explore, to take risks, and to follow your curiosity. It's all part of the process. And guess what? Your purpose can change over time. What drives you in your 20s might not be the same in your 40s. Life evolves, and so do you. Be open to that evolution. It's a journey, not a destination. Keep checking in with yourself, reflect on what feels right, and be willing to pivot if needed. Another cool thing about purpose? It connects you with others. When you're passionate about something, you'll naturally find like-minded people who share your interests and values. It creates a sense of community and belonging, which is incredibly powerful. We're social creatures, after all. Finding your tribe can be one of the most fulfilling aspects of living a purpose-driven life. In the end, having a purpose gives your life a sense of meaning and fulfillment that's hard to match. It's the difference between merely existing and truly living. So take the time to discover what sets your soul on fire. Embrace your purpose, and let it guide you through life's twists and turns. It's never too late to find your path and start living with intention. Trust me, it's worth it. Number 11, finding contentment in simplicity. You know, we live in a world that's constantly pushing us to want more, do more, be more. It's like there's this unspoken rule that happiness is tied to how much stuff we have or how busy we are. But here's the thing, the Stoics knew something that many of us learn way too late. Real contentment? It comes from simplicity. Let's think about it for a minute. Remember when you were a kid and how excited you'd get over the simplest things? Like finding a cool rock or playing with a cardboard box. There's pure joy in those moments, right? That's the essence of finding contentment in simplicity. It's about stripping away the excess and finding joy in the basics. Take a look at Marcus Aurelius. Despite being an emperor with access to all the luxuries of the world, he often emphasized the importance of living simply. He wasn't about flashy displays or indulging in every whim. Instead, he focused on what truly mattered: character, virtue, and inner peace. There's a lesson there. It's not about the stuff, it's about the quality of our thoughts and actions. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not about giving up everything you own and living in a cave. It's about appreciating the little things, the things that don't have a price tag. Think about a quiet morning with a cup of coffee, a walk in the park, or a good conversation with a friend. These moments are pure gold, and they don't require a fat wallet. But why is this so hard for us to grasp? Maybe it's because society is always telling us that more is better. We're bombarded with ads promising happiness if we just buy this or that. It's easy to get sucked into that mindset. But when we do, we often end up feeling empty, chasing a happiness that's always just out of reach. Here's where simplicity comes in. It's about decluttering, not just your physical space, but your mind and life as well. It's about focusing on what truly brings you joy and letting go of the rest. Imagine your life as a garden. You can plant 1,000 different flowers, but if you don't tend to them, they'll just become a tangled mess. Instead, if you choose a few that you really love and take care of them, your garden will thrive. So, how do we start embracing simplicity? Start small. Maybe clean out a drawer or closet, and see how it feels to have less clutter. Or take a day to unplug from social media and just be present in the moment. Notice how these small changes can create a sense of peace and clarity. And let's not forget the Stoic practice of negative visualization. It might sound a bit gloomy, but it's about appreciating what you have by imagining life without it. It's a powerful reminder of how much we already have to be grateful for. In the end, finding contentment in simplicity is about shifting your focus. It's about valuing experiences over possessions, quality over quantity, and depth over superficiality. It's about realizing that the best things in life aren't things at all. They're moments, connections, and a sense of peace that comes from within. So, next time you find yourself caught in the hustle for more, take a step back. Breathe. Look around and appreciate the simple, beautiful things in your life. That's where true contentment lies. And it's available to all of us, right here, right now. Number 12, the impact of our thoughts. Think about it. Have you ever had one of those days where you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and everything just feels off? Your coffee spills, you hit traffic, and you're in a bad mood all day. But then you catch yourself and think, wait a minute, am I making this worse with my attitude? Chances are, you are. Our thoughts are incredibly powerful. They're like the lens through which we see the world. If that lens is cloudy, everything looks pretty grim. The Stoics were all over this concept. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about how our thoughts can either free us or imprison us. He believed that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our views of them. Imagine that, it's not the situation but how we think about it that causes our stress or peace. Let's break it down. Say you're stuck in traffic. You can sit there, fuming, thinking about how much you hate traffic, how it's ruining your day. Or, you can use that time to listen to a podcast, reflect on your day, or even just breathe and relax. Same situation, but your thoughts change your experience entirely. But it's not just about staying positive. It's about being mindful of the narratives we create in our heads. We all have that inner critic, the one that tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or whatever enough. If we listen to that voice, we start to believe it, and it shapes our actions and our reality. But if we challenge those thoughts, if we remind ourselves that we are capable and worthy, we start to see ourselves in a different light. Think about it like this: your mind is like a garden. What you plant and nurture will grow. If you're constantly planting seeds of doubt and negativity, that's what will flourish. But if you plant seeds of confidence, hope, and gratitude, you'll start to see a much more beautiful garden. It's all about what you feed your mind. And here's the kicker: our thoughts don't just affect us, they ripple out to those around us. Ever notice how being around someone who's always complaining can bring you down? Or how someone with a positive, can-do attitude can lift you up? Our thoughts and attitudes are contagious. By managing our thoughts, we're not just improving our own lives, but we're also creating a more positive environment for others. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Changing our thought patterns takes practice. It's about catching those negative thoughts and challenging them. It's about being intentional with what we focus on. One trick the Stoics used is called negative visualization. It's about imagining the worst-case scenario. It might sound counterintuitive, but it helps you appreciate what you have and prepare for challenges with a clear mind. In the end, the impact of our thoughts is profound. They can be our greatest ally or our worst enemy. The good news is, we have the power to choose. By being mindful, by challenging our negative narratives, and by focusing on the good, we can transform our lives from the inside out. So next time you catch yourself spiraling into negative thinking, take a step back. Breathe. Remember, you're in control of your thoughts, not the other way around. Change your thoughts, change your life. It's a journey, but one worth taking. Number 13, the freedom Indiana detachment. Detachment, in the Stoic sense, isn't about not caring. It's about finding freedom by letting go of the things we can't control. Trust me, it's a lesson that often hits us like a ton of bricks, usually way too late in life. Imagine you're holding onto a rope with both hands, pulling it tight. The rope represents all the things you're attached to: relationships, material possessions, expectations. The tighter you hold on, the more your hands hurt. But when you start to loosen your grip, there's relief. That's what detachment feels like. The Stoics, those wise ancient philosophers, really got this. Epictetus, one of the Stoic greats, said something like, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of detachment. It's recognizing that while we can't control the events around us, we can control our reactions. And that, my friend, is where real freedom lies. Let's break it down with a little story. Picture this: you're at a party, and someone spills wine on your favorite shirt. Immediate reaction? Anger, frustration, maybe a few choice words. But here's where detachment comes in. Instead of freaking out, you take a breath and think, can I change what just happened? Nope. So, you choose to laugh it off, maybe even help clean up. By not getting attached to the idea of the shirt being pristine, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. But detachment isn't just about handling minor annoyances. It's about the big stuff too. Relationships, for instance. We often cling to people, trying to control how they feel about us, how they behave, hoping they'll fulfill our every need. That's a recipe for disappointment. By practicing detachment, you appreciate people for who they are, without trying to mold them to fit your expectations. It's like giving them room to breathe and grow, and in turn, you feel lighter too. Here's another angle: material possessions. We live in a world that's obsessed with stuff. Bigger houses, fancier cars, the latest gadgets. We attach our happiness to these things, thinking they'll complete us. But guess what? They don't. They might bring temporary joy, but it's fleeting. Detachment teaches us to find contentment within ourselves, not in external stuff. It's the freedom of knowing that if all the shiny objects disappeared tomorrow, you'd still be okay. One of the hardest, yet most liberating, aspects of detachment is letting go of expectations. We all have a picture in our heads of how life should be. But life, with all its twists and turns, rarely goes according to plan. Detachment helps us roll with the punches. It's about embracing the present moment without being weighed down by what we think should happen. It's like being on a river, flowing with the current instead of fighting against it. And hey, this doesn't mean you become a passive bystander in your own life. It's not about giving up on goals or passions. It's about pursuing them with a sense of peace, knowing that while you can give it your all, the outcome isn't entirely in your hands. There's a kind of beauty in that uncertainty. So, how do you start practicing detachment? Begin with small steps. Notice when you're getting worked up over something you can't control. Pause. Breathe. Remind yourself to let go. With time, you'll find that it becomes second nature. And with it comes a sense of freedom and lightness that's truly transformative. In a nutshell, detachment is about living life fully and freely. It's about loving deeply, pursuing your passions, and embracing each moment, all while knowing that you're okay, no matter what. That's the real magic of detachment. It's not about distancing yourself from life, it's about engaging with it more fully, without the chains of unnecessary attachment. Number 14, the role of virtue. Now, I know virtue might sound a bit old-fashioned or like something out of a dusty philosophy book, but hang with me. It's actually super relevant, and it's something a lot of us figure out way too late in life. So, what do we mean by virtue? Basically, it's about being the best version of yourself. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, believed that living a virtuous life was the key to true happiness. And we're not talking about perfection here. We're talking about striving to be honest, brave, just, and wise in our everyday lives. Imagine this: you're faced with a tough decision at work. You could take a shortcut that would benefit you but might hurt a coworker. Or you could take the high road, even if it's harder and might not pay off immediately. That high road? That's virtue in action. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's not the easiest or most convenient option. But why is this so important? Well, living virtuously brings a kind of inner peace and stability. When you know you're acting with integrity, you can sleep easier at night. You're not constantly looking over your shoulder or worrying about the consequences of a shady decision. It's like having a solid foundation to stand on, no matter what life throws at you. Marcus Aurelius, who was basically the ancient Roman version of a rock star philosopher, talked a lot about this. He believed that our character is our most valuable possession. Everything else, wealth, fame, even health, is secondary. You could have all the riches in the world, but if you're not a good person, what's the point? It's like having a beautiful house built on quicksand. Sooner or later, it's going to crumble. Here's a little story to illustrate. Imagine you're a farmer. You've got fertile land, the best seeds, and perfect weather conditions. But if you don't take care of your soil, if you let it erode and fill with weeds, those seeds aren't going to grow. Virtue is like tending to your soil. It's about making sure your character is solid and ready to support all the other good things in your life. And here's the kicker: virtue isn't just about grand, heroic acts. It's in the small, everyday choices. It's holding the door for someone, being honest even when a lie would be easier, or standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular. These little acts of virtue add up and shape who you are. But let's be real. It's not always easy. We all mess up. We all have moments where we fall short. And that's okay. What matters is recognizing those moments and striving to do better next time. It's a journey, not a destination. The Stoics knew this. They weren't about beating yourself up for mistakes, but about learning and growing from them. So, how do you start incorporating virtue into your life? Start small. Set an intention each day to be a bit more patient, a bit more honest, a bit more courageous. Reflect on your actions and ask yourself if they align with the kind of person you want to be. And remember, it's about progress, not perfection. In the end, living a virtuous life is about aligning your actions with your values. It's about building a strong character that can weather any storm. And the best part? It's never too late to start. Whether you're 15 or 50, you can always choose to live with more integrity, more honesty, and more kindness. And that's a pretty powerful thing. Number 15, embracing the present moment. Lastly, let's dive into something that's crucial yet often slips through our fingers: embracing the present moment. We hear it all the time: live in the now, be present, yada yada. But how often do we actually do it? Life has this sneaky way of pulling our minds in a million directions. We're either stuck in the past, regretting, replaying old scenes, or we're hurtling into the future, worrying, planning, dreaming. But the present? It's like that amazing song playing in the background that we barely notice. Think about this for a second. Have you ever been in the middle of a beautiful moment, maybe watching a sunset, having a great conversation, or just enjoying a quiet cup of coffee, when suddenly your mind drags you somewhere else? It's like, one minute you're there, soaking it all in, and the next, you're thinking about that email you need to send or that thing you said yesterday. We all do it. But the Stoics, those wise old philosophers, had a different approach. Marcus Aurelius, one of the big dogs in Stoicism, was all about embracing the now. He believed that the present moment is the only thing we truly have. The past? It's done and dusted. The future? Totally uncertain. But the present? That's where life happens. He'd jot down his thoughts in what became known as meditations, reminding himself to stay grounded in the now. It's like his personal pep talk that we can all benefit from. Imagine this, you're eating your favorite meal. It smells amazing, tastes even better, and you're surrounded by good company. But instead of savoring each bite, your mind is somewhere else, on tomorrow's to-do list, a past mistake, or some random worry. Before you know it, the meal's over, and you barely remember tasting it. That's life when we're not present. We miss out on the richness of our experiences. But how do we get better at this whole being present thing? It's not about some grand transformation overnight. Start small. Next time you're doing something simple, like washing the dishes, really focus on it. Feel the warm water, notice the bubbles, pay attention to the sound. It might sound mundane, but it's a practice in mindfulness. And let's talk about our ever-distracting gadgets. We're glued to our phones, constantly checking for updates, scrolling through feeds, and living in a virtual world while the real one passes us by. Try this, put your phone away for a bit. I know, sounds radical, right? But seriously, see how it feels to be fully present with the people around you, or even just with your own thoughts. Embracing the present also means letting go of what you can't control. The Stoics were big on this. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said something like, "It's not the events that disturb us, but our views of them." In other words, it's our thoughts about the past or the future that often cause us stress, not the events themselves. By focusing on the present, we can free ourselves from unnecessary worries and regrets. And don't forget about gratitude. When you're truly present, you start to notice and appreciate the little things, a kind gesture, a beautiful day, a good laugh. These small moments, when fully experienced, add up to a fulfilling life. So, next time you catch your mind wandering, gently bring it back. Look around. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the moment for what it is, without rushing to the next thing. Life's too short to live anywhere but here and now. Embrace the present, and watch how it transforms your experience of the world. And there you have it, Stoic lessons that many of us discover a bit too late in life. If you found value in today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and share it with someone who might need a little Stoic wisdom in their life. Remember, it's never too late to start living with purpose and clarity. Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on more insights that can transform your life. Drop a comment below with the Stoic lesson that resonated with you the most. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep striving for excellence and embracing the journey. Stay stoic, my friends.